Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to fix the inverter pump on a Toyota Prius. Let's start this and see what is happening. So up here we have this. This is the triangle of death. And not only that, but there's also some other checks that we have going. I don't want to run the car for too long, but there's also the check engine light. There's some other lights that pop up. Sometimes the ABS system comes on and the AC has stopped working. This was on a drive. So this is a faulty thing that happens to Toyota Priuses. You can get one of these scan tools to check the OBD2. And I recommend that you get one that's like a Bluetooth. I don't have that, so I'm just going to plug this into the car right over there. And the driver's side, there's the OBD connector. And we're just simply going to put this connector onto that. All right, it is connected. I'm going to push the power button without pushing the brake. So we're going to do that. Communicating with vehicle. And this is previously, that's what I used, but it's going to find your vehicle hopefully, and then 06 Prius, correct? And then you're going to just let this run. This could take a little bit of time based on whatever errors you have and whatever system you're using. So the tests are done, and now it's going to do another one. Reading codes from the ABS, reading codes from the OBD2. And here we go. So I found one in the ABS and two in the OBD. So we're going to click that. So the first one is this. It is a low battery positive voltage or abnormally high battery positive voltage. Could possibly be just a 12-volt battery. Okay, so this is the code that I'm more concerned with. There's two of these codes. It's a P0A93 inverter, a cooling system performance confirmed. And then there's another one of the same. So that's the code we want to get at it. Pop this hood up. This is the inverter pump that we are going to be replacing. This is a new one. And it should be pretty simple. This is one of the tubes that goes in, and then there's the other one. Now there's two types of inverter pumps. Toyota, this is a often failed item in the Toyota. And what happens is that this goes bad and it kind of destroys the inverter and everything. So it's a good idea to always change these before they go bad. So I'm hoping that this is going to take care of my problem. Then Toyota made this one, and then they made a new one. Usually it's got the silver clamp here. So if you buy it from Toyota, they released an updated inverter pump that's got the silver thing, and that's supposed to be a better pump, but you know, I can't really confirm it. I bought this on Amazon. It was $40-something. They have cheaper ones, but you do want to stick with the Toyota factory sort of stuff. So we're going to go ahead and install this. It's also got like the connector right there. The first thing that we're going to have to do is remove this plastic shroud. There's these Phillips screws here. Oh, here we go. And just kind of lift it out. So this pump actually sits over here. So what we have to do is get rid of these brackets. And this is a 12 millimeter. Just try to get rid of that. There's another one over there. Be a little bit difficult to see, but if you put a 12 millimeter here, you should be able to get rid of this bracket. It's just a little difficult getting it off because you need a short socket like this. It's the only way to get it out. So this is the bracket. Just put it aside, get the bracket out. You can reach with a 12 millimeter onto the plate and get rid of that. There's another 12 millimeter on the other side holding another bracket that's attached to the frame. There we go. There we go. So it's just a nut. And what I did is remove this right here from the bracket. Actually, you probably don't need to, but it's this bolt. But I'm going to see if I can remove the other bracket on this side. Should be another 12 millimeter. Using a long socket like this, 10 millimeter, should fit, hopefully. Yep, 10, and there we go, and there we go. So that's the other bolt holding the pump. Move this bracket. I didn't think I needed to do this, but this is going to let us rock the inverter a little bit so we can squeeze the pump out. So this is a 12 millimeter. And there we go. And just get a piece of 2x4 like this. And I'm just going to put this here. So this way, you need this for clearance so you can get that pump out. I have removed all the bolts for the water pump. And now we just have to disconnect the wire pin. Okay, so let's see if I can get this pump out this way. Oh yeah, much easier. Much easier. So remember, we have the electronic stuff out of the way. Now we just have to kind of twist it. Don't want to break any stuff. There we go. There we go. All right, so there is the pump. Now the key, what I found of removing it, I think a lot of these videos make it look easy. So step one, unbolt this, lift up the inverter, and then you can get the bolts. So at this point, we do have the pump out. So cables look good, or the hoses look good. There's these clamps here. So that is correct. So we're going to clamp these. That's clamped in. So now I'm going to remove this. You know, I'm not that concerned about losing fluid because I will be replacing the fluid, but I'd like to keep it just for a little bit so I can test it. So let's pull this clamp back. There we go. There we go. It's coming out. Hopefully liquid is not going to be pouring everywhere. Okay. So that's liquid from the pump. These have to be the exact same spot. So we know that this is going to be the top. There we go. Let's see if it'll come out. Hopefully liquid is not going to be pouring. Yeah, pretty good. So that's the old pump out. I don't see anything really mechanically wrong with it, but these do fail. The new one. So remember, this is the, and then I'll bleed the system later on, but I'm just going to put the, that one goes here. Okay, clamp is on there. I never really had to do this on a car, so motorcycles are a lot easier to work on as well. Point, you kind of have to wrestle this in here. Last thing I'm going to do is put the electrical connection on there, and I think we should be ready to give it a little bit of a test. All right, with the Prius off the ground a little bit, just in the front end, we should be able to reach the drain plug for the inverter coolant fluid. To drain the inverter fluid, you have this bolt right here. This is next to the transmission, but this is the bolt that we're going to try and loosen off. So to get the inverter drained, you're going to have to use one of these. This is a 15/16 and a very long breaker bar. because you're going to need plenty of leverage. So be careful. I'm always a little bit afraid of getting underneath the car. Don't have a stand, but you know, and even looking at the underside of this car, it's in very good shape. It's just a little dirty, but this is what you'd expect. Over there, that's the catalytic converter. It's very easy to cut off, so you have to be careful. Some people put something to protect it, and you should do it too, because these Prius catalytic converters, they cost like thousands brand new, so be very careful. Put a pan down here, and now I broke it loose, and I should be able to just like remove it, and there goes just a little bit of liquid, but it's gonna pour. So one thing that I should do is just put the pan closer to the top. That way it's not going to be coming down as much. I'm just going to pull out the bolt, and there we go. Lots of pink fluid coming out. Let me find that bolt really quick. Goes all our fluid, and once it kind of does this, just kind of drip, we're going to put in our cap and just tighten it up. And as soon as you're tight enough, that's all you need. Now let's go ahead and pull this out. This is the coolant that you're going to need for the inverter. You're going to need about 4 quarts, and they do something very interesting at the shop. One of these is like 3.8, so I had to go ahead and buy another one. So that means I'll have way extra, but make sure that this is the pink fluid, and you could get a substitute for it, but it's not recommended. A lot of people do stick with this one. This is the Toyota brand. It's expensive. I think it's like $22 per gallon like this. So it's 50-50 pre-diluted, super long life antifreeze coolant. So this goes straight into your system, and I'm going to show you how to do it. Right now I'm just draining it, but remember, you're going to need 4 liters of this, not quarts, and 1 US gallon equals 3.78. So 2 of these bottles are going to be required. All right, I am going to remove this cap. This is the cap for the inverter, and as soon as you do that, there's going to be a lot more fluid coming out, so keep that in mind. This inverter, you can't just simply remove the coolant and add new coolant. You have to bleed the system. To bleed the system, it's very much like a brake system, but the car kind of does a lot of the work for you. This is the bleed valve, and it's a cap, and you might have to use some pliers or something to pull this, putting a lot of pressure, but that's the cap. This pump, this inverter pump, you should change it every 150,000 miles. It does go bad often. It is a weak spot in these Priuses. So this nipple here, this is how we're going to bleed our inverter. It's very stuck on. There we go. So we're going to get, do a few turns of that, and you can hear the coolant falling off even more. Remember, the car is off. So this is the reservoir. I'm going to put a funnel, and now I'm going to get the first bottle and just going to pour it in. Nope. So to turn on the car's aux, you have to push, and I have it on the brake, on the handbrake. Push it once, it'll turn on, and then push it twice, and it should start. So if we go up here, there we go. There we go. There's the noise for the inverter. I just turned it on just a little bit, and now I'm going to turn it off. It's a little bit difficult to hear, but the inverter, it is on. And if you keep an eye out on the fluid, you'll see bubbles coming up, and the level will go down slowly. It might take a while, but there's quite a bit of air bubbles, because remember, we removed it. We removed the pump, so we let air in. Even if you were to just do a small inverter pump removal, you might have to bleed the system. I am just completely changing the coolant, so I'm going to have to bleed the system anyway and add even more coolant. I still have plenty of coolant, but before we turn it on to accessory mode, we just want to be able to add it like a little bit at a time. At this point, we're going to add a tube onto the bleed valve, and I'm going to loosen it up just a bit, and fluid will start to kind of come out. But I'm going to put this tube, and now I'm just going to just put it right onto here. There we go. Just needed a little bit more. So it's just basically adding it to the inverter, and we're just going to add even more fluid here. Don't let the pump run dry, of course. When you're bleeding this, you know, let this the cap off when it's bleeding, and add as much coolant as you can possibly put onto the reservoir itself. And then after it's not really working the bubbles out, that's when you loosen that nipple and you put the tube onto here, and basically the overflow from here is going to go here along with all the air bubbles. But remember, you have to put it in drive mode or engine mode or aux mode to kick in the inverter. So the last thing really is just to take the car out for a spin and see if everything works. So guys, I'm back inside the car, and yep, no codes. The triangle of death is gone. I have low battery because I was working on the car, and also I have AC. So remember, I lost AC when I was driving, and I got that triangle of death. So now I have this OBD2 connector, you can't see it, and I do have an app on my phone. The way to connect to it is just simply to go to the OBD2 scanner,